right, so you're going to thank me later. Come here.
Please. You just squished my ear.
I know, but hold on. You're all uneven. So
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
You're going to be like this.
Well, just bring a new fad to the GPS that I don't watch regularly.
And we are rolling, so everyone heard that.
Oh, gosh.
I guess we will get started now. So thank you for listening to GPS to God. You probably listen to it more than Becca does. But make sure you rate, review, subscribe wherever you happen to listen. We want to keep bringing you great things, but we need you to participate in order to do that. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those podcast apps. We're on YouTube. You can check us out. We've made it easier for you to subscribe. Right around this area right here in the lower corner of the screen, there's a button that said subscribe. Just hit it. That's all you got to do. You don't have to do anything tough.
Well, don't hit it. You break your screen.
It's not my screen. It's their screen.
True. Very true.
Click on that
Maybe
button.
click it.
Click on that button right here. Right in the
like
bottom,
that.
the bottom right corner. Click on that button, and you'll subscribe. I can't talk, but that's all right. You can also reach out podcast@parkwaybc.net. That's our email address. Or comment on one of the YouTube episodes, and we will get back to you. We will talk about you in a good way and let others know what you want to hear about. So, I have a confession. First off,
throw it on the table.
We had a great. Don't say this. Don't say the guest name.
Oh man, you gonna put it out there?
Don't say the guest name. So yesterday we recorded an episode. Absolutely brilliant. It was wonderful.
It was
with a prominent former NFL player who had played in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
It went great. Our first ever Zoom episode. He zoomed in as a guest, and
we were rookies, that's for sure.
Yes, and it went wonderful. Interview ended. I got up to turn the computer off and do my thing with that. I did not hit record, so we had nothing with him. Nothing at all.
That's
so,
tough.
Called him today. He has agreed to come back.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
We're going to make a little contest out of this, though, for the listeners out there. Let us know who you think it is. So email podcast@parkwaybc.net or comment on this video. Let us know who you think it is. And if anyone guesses right, we're going to pick out of those people and send at least one gift card your way. Maybe a couple. But I will give a disclaimer. There's a handful of people who know who that is.
There is. There is.
And kind of know this story.
Correct.
So you are automatically disqualified.
Indeed.
Brendan Shanks, you're disqualified automatically.
What if said person who knows comes at you with an alias email address?
If they go through all that trouble, then they probably will be in the running for a gift card.
I deserve it. They put that much thought
What's the
into
gift
it.
card? I mean, just for, in case people wanted to know. Those said people who don't know?
Is it worth going through the trouble?
Well, I can tell Rebecca. I mean, I can tell Becca because she is not going to listen anyway. I mean, let's be honest.
Very true.
She's not going to listen.
Confession
We're go ahead, $25 gift card. Straight cash, homie. $25 coming your way.
If I listen?
No, whoever wins this. Whoever wins this. $25 gift card. Coming your way, courtesy of Visa or whoever else we can get it through. But comment. Let us know who you think that guest is. They are coming back, so they say. But if anybody gets that right, we'll send you a $25 gift card. If there's like 10 people that get it right, we're not sending all 10 of you, so be first, be early.
You're broke.
Yeah. Becca can give us a loan, maybe.
Yeah, with my salary that I make.
Yeah. So we have with us today Miss Becca Long, and do we want to say family relation or no?
You can say that.
So
I'll claim him.
That would have been really awkward if she said no.
Yeah.
We
really,
just
really
rolled
awkward.
with it. It would have been all right.
Get up and walk out.
Yeah, it would have been all right.
Get up and walk out.
This is Ryan's sister-in-law.
Yes.
So Dawn, Ryan's wife, and Becca are sisters. So got a little family connection there. And today we're going to highlight a couple hometown heroes. That's what we're going to call them, hometown heroes. And Becca is a hero. All of you know teachers. Teachers are heroes.
Sure.
Messing with knucklehead kids all the time. We were all knucklehead kids.
Yes.
Ain't that the truth?
Yes.
Chasing people through the school because they're singing whatever, Valentine candy grams or something, whatever that was.
Yes, indeed, indeed, yes.
But
yes.
Becca's going to talk a little bit about being a teacher and those struggles and trying to share faith in a public school setting and doing that in a way that won't get you arrested or on the 6 o'clock news or anything like that. So thank you for being here. We're
Absolutely.
glad, even though you don't listen. This is
Wait,
episode like
let
number
me
17.
no. It's not that I
You
don't
listen to this
listen.
Are you at least a subscriber?
I am, because Daniel
Wow.
walked me through the process after service one Sunday. I listen. It's just I haven't listened to the most recent
Yeah.
several.
Yeah,
So,
10.
I listened when you
She's
guys
like, what are we
first
on,
did
episode
it.
6?
Right.
When you first did it in like June, several months ago, I listened to a couple minutes once. But I probably stole her phone and just subscribed for her.
Nice.
Get those numbers up. But
Nice. Hopefully you'll listen to this one.
Maybe.
this is your path to stardom right here. This is where it starts.
Okay. We'll see.
But Becca's going to talk just a little bit about being a teacher and kind of the struggle she faces and that kind of stuff. So no pressure.
No questions. Just go.
Well, just go. No, we'll help you out. We'll do what
Oh,
we
wow.
can.
Thanks.
So why don't you tell everybody what age children you teach
Okay. I teach 4th grade, and I'm currently teaching science and social studies
in a public school?
in a public school. Yes. We are a K-4 school, so we don't even have 5th grade. They go to the middle school.
So K4 means kindergarten through 4th grade.
Yes.
For those non-parents out there that
Yes.
may not know that.
Sorry.
But
It's the lingo.
it's the lingo. Yeah. You're getting insider information right here
Yes.
today.
There you go.
You heard it first.
So, public school, what are the rules or limitations of faith and sharing faith in your particular school system, I guess?
So I don't really know the correct answer, but I know that we as teachers aren't allowed to share our faith or even our convictions or, our beliefs, if you will. However, I feel like if a kid brings it up to me, that opens a door because I didn't start the conversation. Now, I could still probably get in trouble, but I think the biggest thing we do that is pledge to the flag still, which I'm thankful that we do that. And so even if they don't know who God is, they have to say it every day, one nation under God. And so luckily for me, where I teach, even being in Tennessee, we live in the Bible Belt. So a lot of families go to church, and whether they're in public school or private or homeschooled. And so, the knowledge is out there. But for me, I can't just, hey, let's read a scripture, or let's sing this song, or let's, tell me what you learned on Sunday and your sons. Can't do that, we can't start conversations, and it's kind of difficult, especially teaching science, talking about the world. And and I have to say things like, I find ways, to be discreet, but even today it was this world was created in a way that we won't ever understand, but it was amazing. It was magnificent. And that's what I want you to get out of today's lesson, that, so I can say things like that. And kids who go to church, they know, I can even give eyeballs, sometimes I'll say, there's this book that I read and it's my favorite. And it will say something like, the root of all evil, is money, or money is the root of all evil. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. Or, be kind one to another. I'll just quote scripture, and
That's cool.
I don't have to say it's from the Bible. That's kind of how I can get away with saying those things.
Right.
But kids who go to church, they're you can see them wait, I've heard that in Sunday school, or I've heard that at church. But no, we're not allowed to, do anything. But there are ways to get around that, even in public school.
Skirt the issue.
Yeah. So.
And how long have you been teaching?
I believe this is my 7th year, and I've been in upper grades for the past 6. My first year teaching, I actually was the interventionist at the school that I'm currently at.
I have no idea what that is.
So, I was a reading interventionist. So it's small group, and it's very intense, and it's hitting skills that they are struggling in. And for reading, it was just reading. So I met with I believe it was K3rd my first year. So I hit all those age groups. Really the kids who needed that intense one-on-one or a small group setting. And then I rolled right into the classroom, into third grade. And then I looped up with those same kids into fourth. And then I've been at fourth ever since.
So just reading and science and social studies. And are you certified to teach every subject, or do you in elementary school specialize in subjects?
We do not specialize. No, I'm K-6 certified. So that's any subject, even in sixth grade, even though in sixth grade it is, you go to your English teacher, you go to your math teacher. But our school and a lot of elementary schools, we're departmentalized in our fourth grade. So there's a team. I'm on a team with 2 other teachers. So I just teach science and social studies, and then those kids switch and they go to the reading teacher, and then they switch again and go to the math teacher. So that's not always been that way. For the past several years, I've taught reading and social studies. So
this is a little different episode for us. We're going to have a couple guests on, so we're not trying to rush Becca out. She's also trying to get downstairs and pick up her kids. But
one kid.
Kid. Well, anytime Ryan's in the room, I just add an S on there. It's
Present.
But so don't think we're rushing her out and being rude. But she told us, "I got a minute and I got to go." But what's something that maybe teachers struggle with that us regular people would not know?
Oh, wow.
You didn't know you're getting a tough question.
Oh, that is kind
Extra
of a
days
tough question. Yeah, but that's the thing. I think there's a misconception there. Yeah, we get our summers off, but
Right.
I'll speak for this last summer. The county offered summer school, so there were several teachers who spent the whole month of June back in the classroom.
Oh, wow.
And then when July hits, it rolls right into training, and you're back in your classroom getting things ready. Maybe back in the day there was a true summer off, but those days are long gone. Even on holidays, we get holidays, which I'm thankful for because teachers need a breather, as most people do. But most people aren't dealing with 60 fourth graders who think they know everything all the time. So I think that's a misconception. There is time off and it's great, but it's not always time off. There's always something to be done. Our job doesn't end at 2:15. There's several nights, and Ryan can attest because of testimonials for me, or my husband can. I'm up late writing emails or figuring out what am I doing? How can I change what I thought I was going to do because these kids aren't getting it? It's a constant, thing. And so I've had to have friends tell me hey, don't take your bag home. It can be there tomorrow because I'm so stuck on, I've got to keep working because I got to keep doing. And that can affect, other areas in life. But I don't know, a thing that I think just dealing with people. I mean, I know most jobs deal with people, but we're dealing with 2 sets of people. You've got kids and then the parents or the guardians that send them in every day. And that can be a struggle. And a lot of people will say, I don't know how you do it because you have to deal with people. And I'm like, well, you're right. But people who are teachers that are supposed to be teachers, I feel like they've been given a gift to be able to handle parents, the good, the bad, the ugly, and we don't always win, and we're not always lifted up, and but I think that's just a hard thing. Is just, I hate it, but dealing with parents.
Say it. You can say it. Call them. We're not calling them out by name, Mrs. Jones.
Oh.
That's a made-up name.
Do you have a Jones? We might have to edit that out.
Yeah. If you do, she's going to
No.
send an email your way.
Yeah. Podcast at parkwaybc.net.
Yeah. Complain to Daniel.
Yes. So your husband, Seth, is also a teacher,
Yes.
teaches high school. Is it kind of the same for him just with older kids, or do you think, I know you're kind of speaking for him a little bit, but same kind of struggles?
Yeah, but being at the high school level, there's a whole different level of reality when it comes to teenagers. And if you have a teenager, you probably understand, the discipline that they have to put up with, all the new things that have come out that kids are involved in that are not good. He deals with that on a regular basis. And, are there struggles? Are there conflicts? Yes. And we talk about that. But there is a vast difference between what goes on in elementary than what goes on in high school. And he's always like, I couldn't do your job. I'm like, well, I'm too short to do your job. Like, I look like a high schooler sometimes. So I'm like, whatever. But, I mean, it is similar across the board. All teaching is, you know, we all go through the same struggles, the same burnouts, the frustrations, because because we deal with parents and even students who have their own opinions and their own agendas, and they don't think they have to answer to us. You know, that is one thing we deal with, disrespect. I can tell you that right now. That's since the 7 years I've been a teacher, that's one thing that has just plummeted, is respect for teachers. And that's from adults to kids. So, and that's across the board from K to 12, kindergarten to 12th grade.
With that being said, and like just disrespect or that kind of thing, do you feel like you have a better support system either at home or your other teachers? Because Seth is a teacher, so he kind of understands what you're going through. So do you feel like that's a better support system than if you're like, say, Seth didn't go to school, but was a teacher?
No, I get you. Yeah, because he understands. Like, he genuinely understands when I come home and I'm frustrated, or I'm like, well, listen what happened today, or listen to what I had not put up with, but what was thrown at me today. And he's real. I mean, I'll boast for Seth. He's just real good at giving me advice or calming me down, because I'm a reactor sometimes when it comes to those things. But also have a good set of teacher friends who are in it and who are Christian. And I feel like, you know, that's the one thing, like, our school, even our principals are Christians, and they're out loud about it. And so I can even go to them on those days where I'm like, what in the world? And they're like, hey, go read this, or go, you know, do this. Yeah. And so that's probably, you know, Seth is real good about listening, and he gets it. And then I have teacher friends, and I even have some non-teacher friends who are just like, yeah, because some of these things are just common sense. Like, no, I get that. Like, if you have kids, you automatically get what teachers go through, because ultimately you're a teacher at home, you know. Yep. But yeah, I mean, Seth gets it. And I think even if I'm really going to boast on him, if he won't listen to this. He might. But even
our
if he
confidence is just like the discipline in the school system. Plummeting.
But I think even if he wasn't a teacher, he would still like, you know, because I think most people just know that. I mean, we've all been to school. You've all had teachers that you liked and didn't like, and hopefully you remember the good and the bad and what you learned from that. Right. And so I think, you know, that helps to have a support group, honestly, you know, and I can go home and vent to him. And because we are at different levels, you know, we can exchange vents, if you will, and still like learn, okay, well, I could have said that to my kids, or, you know, I could have done that with these knuckleheads. It's like, you know, that sounds terrible, but not all kids are saints. Right. Sorry, parents, if you believe that.
Sorry, Miss Jones.
Yeah, whoever you are.
Do you have a desire to eventually teach older, or are you pretty comfortable with the age range that you're at?
And I want to tack on to that. Is it a different qualification?
Yeah. So my certification right now is through 6th grade, so I could teach middle school. Okay. I don't know. If you'd have asked me when I was in college, absolutely. Okay. I would have loved to have gone on to high school.
What year?
Okay.
What do you mean?
What year of college?
Really? Yes, I was an 11-year student in college.
I never graduated, so I can say that.
That's for another podcast. I would love to tell you my story about why I was in college for 11 years. But
you got to come back now.
Part two.
If you subscribe.
I am subscribed, but you have to subscribe. I would. I think, I don't know. Actually, let me take that back. If you did ask me several years, even my first year in the classroom, I would be like, yeah, I could teach high school. Yeah. Now, Seth would totally disagree, but I could do it. I subbed in high school, which was like, you get called all the things. And I'm like, really? I'm your authority. I may be shorter than you, but I'm your authority. But now, I don't know, like, there is a whole shift in kids these days, and it's sad, and you can point fingers, but I'm not going to get to the why. You can probably guess the why.
Yes.
But I do like where I'm at. It's especially at our school, it's very rigorous. There's high expectations for 4th grade, and I like pushing kids. That sounds awful, but kids need to be pushed. They need to be pushed. I mean, you have to have a high bar set, and I could do the same in high school, but again, there's this huge shift in mentality and respect, and I'm not sure that my mouth could handle those upper grade levels. But to to our day, like if Seth and I could switch, that'd be kind of cool.
That's what I was going to say. Does he have a desire to go?
No, that's a hard no. Although, he came in, so every year he visits on my birthday, as long as it's on a weekday. Sure. And my kids, of course, it's a guy. There's hardly any elementary teachers that are men, and if you're a guy, go be a teacher in elementary school because they need that.
Right.
Like, we need more male teachers in elementary school. But he came in and it's like as soon as he walked in, they're like, what? Like, oh man, what's up? Of course he's trying to throw some trivia at them. Like, we haven't covered that yet. Like, why are you talking about this? And they love it. And I think for that moment, he's like, this is cool. Right. But
long term,
there's a lot of things that elementary teachers do that you don't have to do in high school.
Gotcha.
Permission slips and losing your teeth and she called me a name. And but again, like I said earlier, the conflicts are different. There's still conflicts, but they're different. But I don't think he could do it. I don't. He's pretty good at everything, but I don't know about that one.
But he's a coach too at the high school level, so that's a draw for him to coach those
of course
older kids.
And there's a cool thing that comes with that too. Like, I get to see that side. That's kind of his passion, and so he can, and he'll tell you this is my niche, my job to train these men or these boys to become men. And there's some coaches who don't do that, across the board. So he's got a large task in front of him too.
And going back to the certification, is it different?
Oh, yeah.
Like, would you have to go get certified to teach high school?
Yes, I would have to. I believe I could take a praxis exam, which is like a teacher exam, to be certified 4.8. But I think I would have to be subject specific, because when you get to high school, there are specifications. You have English or math or history, those things. So, but right now I'm sitting well with K6, because if I wanted to go higher, I could go 6th grade, and they're still small or young enough, but they're also old enough where I could go deeper in conversations or really kind of stretch their thinking or that kind of thing. So it's hard to do with some 4th graders are there. Some are just on the surface, and I'm like, all right, let's just get through today.
That was a long, serious sigh right there.
Was.
Yeah.
That was.
All right. So before we say thank you and ask you to leave.
Wow, thanks.
Give her the boot.
Give her the boot. Are there any stories? Don't say names, but we like the good stuff. So we like stories of something going terribly wrong or something. So any stories of a kid just doing something totally dumb or crazy, or a parent coming in and doing something silly that you can think of in 10 seconds and share with our audience, who you are not one of.
Oh, wow. I'm subscribed. Yes, to all those things. Now, can I think of a story? I don't know.
If not,
there's several.
That's your homework, Miss Teacher.
For part two?
For part 2. You got to come in with a story or two.
Yes, I'm trying to think of something. Usually it involves me in a mishap, not necessarily kids.
Hey, we take self-embarrassment too.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Oh, I got lots of that. Oh, gosh.
If not, it's all right.
I'd have to think about that one.
Part 2 coming up, so that means you have to come back.
Yes.
Because you've promised our other listeners, faithful and true as they are, that you'll come back and tell a story. So
I can do part 2.
Thank you very much for being here.
You're welcome.
Support your teachers. If you're a parent,
yes.
they are with your kid a lot of times more hours a day than you are. So,
right.
So support them and, be respectful. So thank you very much, Becca, for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for being a local hometown hero.
Thank you.
So just like that, the magic of movie making in our podcast studio. We are back with Mr. Travis Merriman. Thank you for being here, first of all.
Yes, thank you.
A hometown hero night, and Travis is a Army veteran, but is doing that for a long time, has been doing that for a long time. Also a firefighter, so that's they're running towards danger when everyone else is running away. So that's we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. But first, for those loyal listeners, not named Becca, way back, what episode is this? 17, 16, 17, something like that? Way 17. Back in like episode number 3, I told a story about a friend of mine who went through a drive-through zoo and had an issue. And Travis just happens to be that friend.
Yes.
Can we bring this story back up? Are we allowed to talk about this?
I told him.
Was it a kangaroo or something?
Oh, he's going to give all the details.
Okay.
So
man, this is awesome.
When we were texting,
this is great.
We were texting for him to come on, and I was asking him to come on, and he was super excited, and I said, "Can you tell the zoo story?" And he agreed to do that. So
that's awesome.
Man, take it away. Entertain the people as I've been entertained.
Well, I mean, it's a story that tells itself, really. Thanks for having me on. But yeah, so in Alamo, Tennessee, about halfway between Nashville and Jackson, there's a drive-through safari. And the majority of the animals there are alpacas and llamas. And I got a real close encounter with the alpacas near the end of the trip. But if you guys ever want something to keep the kids interested on a trip, go to the drive-through safari in Alamo, Tennessee. If any of them are subscribers and watch this, hopefully they don't recognize me if we come through again. But
on the ban list.
Yeah.
There he is.
Surely it had to happen more than once, hopefully. I don't know. But yeah, so we start off in this drive-through safari. And
so just kind of like for someone who has no idea what that is, explain what that is a little bit.
So they just have, exotic animals, alpacas, llamas, giraffe. They have some bison, I think, and just a couple random different animals. It's a poor man's zoo, if you will.
And you stay in your car and you drive through and the animals come up to you.
Yeah. So in the beginning, you have an option to buy buckets of food. And so it was me and the family, had 2 kids in the back and the wife in the passenger seat, and a couple buckets of food. And so we start off, and alpacas and llamas are everywhere throughout the whole park. They're in the front of the park, so they're pretty greedy when it comes to the food. But so we keep driving through, and it's a drive-through safari. It's in the middle of nowhere, and so there's speed bumps along the way, and there's places that you stop, and then when you stop, it depends on if you're in a little divot or something. It's really hard. You got to really get on the gas to get out of it sometimes, and that will come into play later. So we get through the drive-through, and at the end is the rest of the alpacas and llamas, and they know that is where everyone offloads the bucket of food, and so they're everywhere, and there's a couple cars in front of us, and we're stopped, and we've got the windows down. Kids have the buckets. The llamas and alpacas are all crowding around, and our buckets are empty, and it's time to take off. And so I go to take off, and we're in a Hyundai Santa Fe, by the way, so this is going to be a plug for them. We go to take off, and I can't move. I start a little bit, and I just stop. And I was like, oh man, I'm on a nice little speed bump here, and I really got to give it. So I give it some gas again. Nothing. I rocked just a little bit, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna see what this Santa Fe has. So I gas it, and I get over it. And my front 2 tires land on the other side, and then I'm stuck. And it is at this point that I know that I have ran over an animal, because I am not moving. I looked to my right and said, I'm pretty sure we're on an animal. And there's no way that's happening. So our windows are down. I look out on my driver's side, and there is an alpaca head and neck underneath my car. And I feel he's looking at me like, you've got to be kidding me. And I'm in shock for a few seconds. Like, I'm just looking, and I'm speechless. which is hard for me to be sometimes. And I look over and I said, I am on top of an alpaca. Yeah, so I'm.
What a weird phrase. Just a weird phrase.
Yes.
I'm on top of an alpaca.
I'm on top of an alpaca. And so at the time, my daughter was probably 4. It's about 3 years ago. My daughter was 4 and my son was 2. And so this whole time, all right, well, I'll get to that here in a minute. So after I realized I'm on top of this alpaca, I said, man, I need to get off this thing. So I give it some gas, and I'm not going anywhere. And I don't know if you guys ever heard an alpaca in distress, but it is not a pretty sound. It is.
Not that I say I can.
Yeah, it was. I'm looking out, and I'm oh man. I'm going forward. I'm backing up, trying to wiggle.
If anybody has a fun story like this that's about an alpaca, please send it in to Parkway.
Are there anybody coming to assist?
Just wait. Yeah. So I'm there. I'm trying to, and this alpaca is making this. Oh, I don't know. This noise is. I don't know. I've never heard anything like this before in my life. My daughter's in the back saying, oh my gosh, Daddy, did you run over an alpaca? I can't believe you'd do that. And I'm like, no, honey, the alpaca crawled under the car because it was hot. It needed shade. And I didn't know it was there. And she's like, I'm going to tell everybody you ran over an alpaca. I said, no, honey. No, it crawled under the car.
Little kids, like, when kids are like 4 years old, they will sell you out in a hurry.
Absolutely.
And not even think about it.
No, she had no qualms letting it be known that I ran over an alpaca. And so oh man. So we're there for a few minutes, and then I'm stuck, and there's no service here. Neither I nor my wife can get any cell phone service. So there's a car behind us. It pulls up, really nice couple. And they this is okay. So this guy, they pull up and they said, "Hey, I'm pretty sure you're aware of this, but you're on top of an alpaca, right?"
Did you know?
Yeah. And so I'm like, "Yeah, man, we're trying to call somebody, but we don't have any service." And it's like, "Okay, yeah, well, we called and we got a hold of somebody and told them what was happening." Like, all right, cool, thanks. And they said, yeah, man, we saw it happening, and we were trying to honk our horn. We were yelling, and you just ran right over it. I said, yeah, I appreciate the help, man. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, sorry. So he goes on, and then, of course, there's tons of cars behind me, and keep going. A couple cars, they got some cameras out, and they're all slow rolling, So I'm thinking, well, this is going to be everywhere. This is not going to be good for me. Then I had this. Yeah. Surprisingly, I haven't seen that anywhere, so I'm okay with that. But the one thing that stood out as well was another firefighter was driving by. He drives, he stops, and he gives me this look. Because we have firefighter tags too, and so I guess we had that little unspoken connection. I guess we all had the same kind of humor. And he looks at me, shakes his head. He said, "Well, I guess you're in trouble, huh?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm stuck here for a little bit." But he's like, "All right, man, good luck." Drove on. So yeah, of course we get that car who's got a couple loud people in it, and they're kind of like, "Oh my goodness, girl, did you see this?" And I'm just like over here, my wife's shrunk down in the car. But eventually, some of the two-part guys, employees come over. One was a young kid. He was probably 16 or 17. He's just there for a random job, right? And he's like, I don't know what to do in this situation. I've never seen this before. So I was like, hey,
this wasn't in the manual.
Exactly. Yeah.
I gotta get trained on this.
Exactly. So he was like, yeah, man, maybe try backing out. I don't know. I was like, yeah, man, it's a good call. I'll try that again. Finally, I think one of the, a manager, or he's an older fella, so I imagine he's probably one of the guys who runs it. But he's like, dude, what? He didn't say dude. He's like, man, you're just going to have to run over it again. You just got to keep going back and going forward. And this alpaca the whole time is just bellowing out in pain because I've just run over him. A full-grown, not a baby alpaca, a full-grown alpaca. And his neck, this poor guy's is, I don't know. So finally, through all the blood-curdling screams from this alpaca, I finally get enough to where he can wiggle out, and he just bounds off, and I'm hoping he's okay to this day. I don't know how long alpacas live, but he at least lived for the next 20 minutes.
With a broken back.
Yeah, exactly. So this place also has a petting zoo. Excuse me. And afterwards, I turned to the family. I was like, well, do we still want to go to this petting zoo? I mean, I'm pretty sure people...
Are we not traumatized enough?
Yeah. And so we were like, we're here, let's do it. And sure enough, we go in and we see the first couple that was behind us and stopped. And they were kind of looking and they're like, hey, thanks for helping out. And they just kind of laughed. Like, yeah, man, never seen something like that before. And I was like, yeah, you're welcome. So we asked my alpaca story, and
It's awesome.
yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's still a laugh getter to this day. Every time I'm around some old Army buddies, they always want me to tell that story. So
Yeah,
It's a good one.
I told a much condensed version that was nowhere near as funny, nowhere near the detail, and
that's good
man.
stuff.
but if you're out there, go to Alamo and check out the safari. It's good. It's a good time.
just if you happen to park for a second, send a spotter out and look in front of you before you take off.
Look everywhere you can before you take off.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's hilarious. But
I got a quick question though for you
okay,
guys.
here we go.
Has Sandman ever? I call him Sandman because this is easier. It's been Sanders for a while. I can't call him Daniel because that's just not how we roll. But
Sandman.
Does he ever call you guys bums?
I don't know if they've gotten the bum treatment.
All
I
right, that's a
don't
good
think so.
thing.
I have not.
You have let this man down.
Okay.
If you hear the word bum, that is not where you want to be.
Okay.
On Sandman's list there.
Okay.
So that's just a warning for you guys. So
Okay. Good to know.
I might have called the person who canceled on us. We had another guest who canceled in short notice for an episode.
Now that you say that,
They
I think
probably
the other
would've got
night
the
when you were
bum.
telling me, I think you did say that.
Bum treatment. Yeah, it's I'm famous in another life for calling people bums.
Okay.
yeah, you
Not
don't
where
want to be
you
on
wanna
that
be.
end. Nope.
Okay. Good to know.
But so speaking of our other life, Travis and I have known each other for quite a while. We go way back to when we were young and skinny and spry and all that kind of stuff. Living life in the Army. So why don't you tell people a little bit about
Yeah, sure.
your Army life and what you've done there, and maybe a couple places you've been.
Yeah, so I joined up in 2000, and at the time, I did it mainly for school money, honestly. I had my grandparents or my granddads were in the military, but they really wasn't a big thing for me. That wasn't like my first go-to after high school. I graduated high school, went down to Chattanooga for a year. Didn't perform my best there. Kind of carried my senioritis, I think, over in the freshman year. And then, so just a weird place after the first year of school. I knew I needed to get back into school and kind of straighten out a little bit. I started looking around the military, and I didn't really want to go active. I didn't really want to do that just yet. I wasn't really, just want to dip my toes, if you will. So the reserves, talked to them. They, offered good benefits, and it was a good fit. And they offered to pay me to jump out of planes. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll sign up for that. Why not? I've never done that before, so let's do it. Joined up as a parachute rigger. So anything dropped out of a plane, we put our hands on it, and hopefully it opens up and everything gets down to the ground safely. But I know my first few years, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not, but people like Sandman there and a few others made it really, really fun. We would go to Europe and a couple of things for a couple of different places. Every year we'd have a 2 to 3 week training exercise that we would go to. And so we do that a couple of times. Jumped into Normandy has a commemorative jump every year to celebrate D-Day. Huh. Got to do that.
That's cool.
Yeah, so good experiences, and just kind of carried over whenever my reenlistment came up. The unit that we're in, or that I'm in now, still good leadership, good people. So kind of made me want to go. And then once you get to a certain point, you only have a few more years left till retirement. So once you get to that point, there's why stop now? So it's kind of where I went on deployment in 2011 and signed my third contract then. And then a couple years ago, 2 years ago, I just sign another one to get me through retirement and stuff like that. So a lot of fun, a lot of good guys and females in there. So I know people have different experiences with their careers and stuff, but I feel very blessed to be where I have been. I think Sandman can say the same thing. So I had a great time, a lot of good people, a lot of good missions, did a lot of good things. So no regrets ever going in there. And for those out there, hey, if military is something you want to do, it's not a bad gig. Mm-hmm. So now, especially with the family, they have pretty good benefits if you got a family. So just a little plug there.
And man, he needs to be a recruiter. But
yes.
But speaking of family, like he said, everybody has different experience in the military and in anything, sports and church and whatever else. But you do have that family atmosphere, and you kind of bond and go through some experiences that bring you closer that not everyone else gets to experience. Travis and I have gotten to do a lot of fun stuff together and go a lot of places, do a lot of traveling, and man, we're like brothers. It is a true family. I could go on and on, but we're going to let him talk. Y'all hear enough of me talking. So one thing that Travis does that I think is super cool, and most every little boy for at least half a day wants to do this job, and that's be a firefighter. So
yes.
what can you tell us a little bit about that, and maybe how you got into it, and some of because I think you all do a lot of things that most people just aren't aware of as far as your training and what you have to go through. It's not just carrying a water hose to a building on fire.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no problem. So my granddad was a firefighter for Nashville for over 30 years. So that had always kind of been a thing in the back of my mind to, do. So, he enjoyed it. He loved it. Talked about it all the time, and go visit him at his fire station, wherever he was, and go hang out and be part of the crew. And, we talk about brotherhood in the military, and that's a big reason why firefighting and even police on the same token, it's all a brotherhood, sisterhood too, with all that going on. So it can be a big family thing, because you're there for, at least for us anyways, we're there for 24 hours at a time. And so you spend a lot of time with those guys outside of your family, and they become family as well. So that aspect as well it drew me to that. I could do pretty well individually, but when it comes to team, and you guys who play sports and stuff like that, it's all the same. You got that camaraderie, that brotherhood that comes from taking on the task and accomplishing it and doing that. So I've been on for a little over 4.5 years. I tried to get on before that, but I didn't get on, but got lucky, got hired on. And if you don't have any prior experience, it's a 10-week training down in Bell Buckle, Tennessee. And you kind of learn the trade there and learn the basics. And then when you get back to wherever you're working, they'll take you under their wing and go that way. It's been the best decision that I've made for my family, career, life. Being in the military and a firefighter, though, I am gone quite a bit. And as you progress in rank in the military, and as well as the fire department, but especially the military, the more responsibility you have, the more things you got to put on your plate. So you're gone, quite often, more than you really realize you would be. And so it's very important to have a good family structure at home and family support, because they take on all that burden when you're gone. So for that, family, thank you very much. You guys are awesome. Always got to give a shout out to them. But the firefighting is great. It's more than just running into houses, putting out fires. There's really not a lot of fires going on these days with the way construction is built and everything like that. It's just a lot of safety measures out there to prevent that. So Hendersonville is a sleepy city when it comes to that. Thankfully, as firefighters, we always want to go. We always want to do something, but
you want to be where the action is,
right?
Yes.
But as a community, hey, we're glad no one's being burnt, all that stuff, But we do like to go out there and get our hands dirty. But we do car wrecks. 90+% of our calls are all medical calls. So we'll go out there with ambulances and stuff, and most of us have at least EMT paramedic training, which I don't really want to get in the weeds of the differences of those, but we all have medical training to where we can provide at least basic life support, and that's usually what we do most of our calls. And then we'll do public education. We'll go to churches. We'll go to schools. Any organizations that'll have us out. Public education will, go around, do smoke detector installations, and just kind of get the word out, fire safety, don't leave a candle, lit if you go to sleep, stuff like that, be careful in the kitchen. But yeah, it's been a great job. I've been very fortunate to have 2 long careers, or one that I hope to make a long career with the military and the fire department. Like they kind of go hand in hand with the teamwork, camaraderie, and stuff. And all the people I've worked with, they're great people. And I can't really say enough about it. So I'm really happy to be where I'm at. Very, very fortunate. So
what is your what's your schedule?
Yeah, so it's like 24 hours on and 2 days off. So
yeah,
we'll get in the morning and we'll put our gear on the engine. We'll check off the engine, make sure, or whatever you're on. So we have engines and we have ladder trucks and a couple other apparatuses. But we'll get on there, check, make sure everything's there, make sure everything's working. Then we'll stay there. We've got a bunk room, and we've got a common area, big living room, kitchen, and a little office area. And so we'll clean that up. And then after we get done with that, we eat breakfast and we'll do whatever training is on the docket for the day. And then we'll just wait for any calls to come in. And then in the afternoon, around 4 or 5 o'clock or so will be our workout time or whatever. And then it just kind of goes into our hangout time and dinner time. And then hopefully we get to sleep through the night. So,
so you guys actually do training when you're not out on calls. You'll have some kind of training that you do.
Yeah,
locally, or maybe go off-site out of the fire hall.
Yeah, for the most part. There's some, or we'll have like maintenance. Like we'll go around and do. We just got done doing hydrant maintenance, making sure all the hydrants are working and make sure they look pretty. And we'll do hose testing and just to make sure our equipment is working and it's not broke. Because last thing you want to do going into a fire is, have a couple of holes poking out of there and you don't have any water. So. But our training usually we'll do a lot at the station, and then we'll go out and if there's empty houses that have been given to the city or something, then we can go out there and we can do a lot more in-depth training and stuff like that. But they also do a good job of training classes that are offered at the fire academy. There's a bunch there, and then they're pretty good with if you find a class or a training opportunity anywhere on the country. Really, they'll try to get you out there to get
cool.
more advanced training and stuff like that. So very training based for sure.
I think that's something a lot of people don't know or don't realize that you're not just sitting there all day waiting for the phone to ring kind of thing. I mean, you're actually doing more stuff and continuing to build skills and stuff like that.
A lot of that stuff it can be perishable knowledge. So if you don't do it, you don't get your hands on it, then you just it can goes away. So.
What about, I know buildings are safe and all that kind of stuff, like you said a minute ago, but do you have any kind of cool stories that you could tell that somebody might like? If not, that's all right. I mean, Becca couldn't come up with anything. So
but to bring you back to
I'm trying to get my part 2, I guess.
There you go.
So
there you go. We can stretch this out.
Yeah, I don't want to shoot all my shots.
There you go.
I don't know if we can top the alpaca story, but
that's going to be tough. I mean,
I didn't know if you had one off the.
I'll go over my first fire. So every department you go to, there's always going to be those stations that are slower than others. And just so happened that I was at a station that's one of our slower stations, and it was Father's Day. I just got out of the academy, and it was a big lightning rainstorm, and we catch a fire, and that was pretty cool because the academy, the training is one thing. It's all controlled and not too much. It can get out of hand, but it's pretty controlled. So it's a fairly safe environment. And then, but this one is not a controlled. But it was a good fire to get into because it was in the attic. So walking in, it wasn't, So if any of you guys are watching like Chicago Fire or 911, anything like that, it is nothing like that. Those are, we tend to stay away from those shows because we just end up shaking our heads and you're like, well, that's not.
Making you mad.
Yeah. We're like, well, everybody would probably die if y'all did that. I don't know. It's not a good call. But
It's kind of like ER.
That's not how you do compression.
We have
What?
yeah, we have a doctor in our family. Christy's aunt is a doctor, and she's like, ER compared to the medical field, like the real medical field, is comparing the Flintstones to the real Stone Age. So like it's just nothing alike. Nothing alike.
And that's kind of how it is too. So yeah, just going in and just kind of getting my hands wet, my feet wet for the first time was pretty cool. And then you got a lot of stories around the hall. Just the guys are all, for the most part, Type A personalities, and there's a lot of competition and a lot of man stuff going on around, if you will, you know. So there's some stories there that some you probably don't need to be told, but it's good stuff. It's a good time, and everybody's got everybody's back, and that's what I like about it. Like if you have disagreements with someone, you can take them offline. We're talking about them, or you can just ignore them. But when everyone is on the scene or something, everybody comes together, and because everybody at the end of the day, everybody wants to come home, right? Yeah. You know, so that's what it's all about, just to make sure everybody gets home. So.
It's awesome.
And it is a different mentality a little bit for firefighters or police or military that you don't want other people to be hurt, but you want to be where the action is. You want to be doing something that's fun. I mean, the excitement part is fun. You know, people getting hurt or anything is not fun, but, you know, it's an adrenaline rush. It's that whole, you know, you practice. I want to get into, you know, some live action here. So it's that just a different mentality, the Type A personality kind of thing of, you know, jumping out of an airplane. We have seen lots of guys who are 3 times the size of us, you know, cut Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Olympia kind of dudes, and man, you put them next to a parachute and they start crying and bawling like babies, and they're like, "I'm out. I'll see you later," you know. But you know, just body type doesn't matter, male, female doesn't matter. It's just that mentality of going after it and doing something not everybody else can do. You know, mentally, physically, they could. Right. You know, we've seen dudes that can bench press both of us, and they couldn't do, you know, stuff that we could do mentally. Just not that we're studs or anything. It's just that big boys come to play. And,
big boys come to play. So, big boys eat.
That's right. That's right.
What's the highest that you've jumped out of?
Well,
do you have?
That's a sore subject for me, but
okay.
Sandman knows what I'm talking about. But no, it's about what 1250 probably is.
Well, so for those that don't know, the Army, the military really, but the Army, they're not the conventional Army, which means most of the people in the Army. They don't want to jump very high. They want you to jump very low because they want you to get on the ground as quickly as possible and put as many people on the ground as fast as they can. So you're jumping at low levels.
Gotcha.
For training, normally 1,250 feet, which is not super high. Yeah. It's a lot higher than most people want to go. But like when when you're standing there, you're looking out the door. You're like, I'm really not that high up, you know. So for those, you really only have like 4 seconds or so of reaction time.
Okay.
If something's wrong, to fix it before you're in trouble.
Gotcha.
So, helicopters, you'll be a little higher, like 1,500 feet, maybe up to 1,800 feet or so, but that's about it.
Gotcha.
And then in a real world situation, if you're, which the military doesn't do anymore because there's not a reason to really, in a real world kind of situation, they're going to do like 800 feet or so.
Gotcha.
Which is not very high.
Above 5 is too much for me, probably.
Yeah.
They do have.
You want to be above that, so your parachute can open.
Right.
Yeah. They do have free fall, which is the skydiving stuff like that. You know, so they do have those. Those are,
But that's so that's a special. I mean, jumping out of planes in the military is a specialty.
Yeah.
And then the free fall part, where you are jumping from a lot higher, is a specialty among the specialty.
Gotcha.
Small numbers are paratroopers. Even smaller numbers are free fall qualified, and that's mostly your special forces people and that community and people that support them. are really that's who does the free fall cool guy stuff. So.
Gotcha. Oh.
But man, we don't get
1250's cool.
Yeah, don't get Army guys talking
because
all military people have stories, whether they've done anything or not. They all have stories. So,
I got a question. So, firefighting and everything. So, I know on some of these TV shows, which I don't want to bring up TV shows, but just to get the example across, you have they'll have an episode where like multiple stations will come together and they'll have like competitions. Like, is that a legit thing or no?
It can be. There's always, every station thinks their station is the best,
right?
And they always have, Now I will tell you this. So we haven't had, and like I've only been on for 4.5 years. So there could have been some interdepartment competitions before,
right.
But a lot of the things that we do are cops and firefighters will always whatever, and firemen always win every single time. Ever since I've been on, we've been cornhole tournaments, softball tournaments, whatever it is, we'll always win. So that's nice. A guarantee.
Nice.
But
no donut eating contest, right?
No, that's definitely the truth, for sure. We got our fair share of big boys, but they've got the practice. And but no, as far as we all, whether we like to admit it or not, we like to try to at least keep up with the people who are doing the things. Everyone's got their special skill sets. Everyone has their specialties, whether it be ropes, cutting people out of cars, hazmat, biological stuff, whatever. So yeah, there's a little friendly competition, There's always, if there's a wreck and there's something that needs to be cut, there's a big fight over who gets to do that because, that's where everybody wants to be. But as far as we'll probably get to there at some point, I'd imagine. But there's been a couple of things taken away because things can get a little rowdy.
I'm sure.
And injuries probably could happen. So we try to mitigate that as much as possible. But
nice.
Yeah, we definitely, is an inter agency battles going on between the cops and us, and we always come out on top. So
nice.
Well, let me tell you, I'm not a policeman or a firefighter. Never have been either one. But Travis and another friend of ours, Mon, we're all brothers. I mean, we fight, we hug, we're a family, right? There's nothing better that I like to do than grab a bag of chips and sit down and watch them go at it. Because Mon is a cop. So
okay.
he's a cop, and Travis being a firefighter, they will go at it. And as many times as I've heard that argument between them, it's always new stuff. Like they don't bring up the same 3 points all the time. It's new stuff. So it's pretty
awesome.
good. So, well, Travis, we appreciate you coming on and just giving a little education and behind the scenes. That's what we're about. We like the behind the scenes stories here.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yes,
but that's definitely my pleasure. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Just sharing a little bit, and we like to highlight people who are doing cool things and serving the community in many different ways. So thanks for being here and sharing with us, and
absolutely
taking some more time away from your family.
Well, she was happy to do it. She knows you guys, so
awesome.
Hey, it's a lot easier when they know where you're going to be. So
yeah.
And thank you very much for your service.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Thank you for everything that you do.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And have done.
All right, so we have the Bible verse like normal that we are going to end the day with. This is from Matthew chapter 10, verse 16. I am sending you out like sheep among wolves. Therefore be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. So no matter what you do, if you are a school teacher or you're a firefighter, you're in the military, or anything that you do, it's a dangerous world out there. There's sin and temptation, and the devil is trying to keep us all away from God. So make sure that you are staying true to the one who has called you by name. So thank you for listening. Make sure you check us out on Instagram. Send us an email, podcast@parkwaybc.net. We want to hear from you. If you think you know who our NFL guest is, make sure you drop a comment or send us an email, and you might win a $25 gift card. It's just that easy, boys. So, Travis, thanks again. Feel free to come back for episode number 2. Bring all the other good stories.
yeah.
But
I'll bring the smoke next time.
thank you, and we pray that you stay safe out there. And just thank you for serving all of us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And that's it. We'll see you guys next Monday on GPS to God.
Just call her Becky.
Don't you? I will cut all of you. One swipe. One swipe.
Thank you for listening to GPS to God. Please leave us a rating on iTunes and also subscribe on YouTube. And hit the bell if you would like to receive notifications when new episodes air.